Okay. So, greetings for the day, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you today on the webinar, How to Avoid the ERP Trap, on behalf of Software Surges, Avenico, and Chai Kings. My name is Ruhi Kanaba, and I am your moderator throughout this session. Whether you are joining us from the comfort of your home, office, or anywhere around the world, we are delighted to have you here with us. I would like to introduce our esteemed speakers present here, Mr. Anand Krishnamurthy, the founder and CFO at Avenico Technologies, who is a qualified accountant by profession with passion towards technology and business. He has been instrumental in successful implementation of ERP for several SMEs across the globe. He has bootstrapped two entities over the span of more than 13 years in India and US, and has grown a team from scratch to 70 plus today. His selfless passion towards helping SMEs find the right technology partner has gained him the highest reputation in the SME market of SAP. And I would like to introduce our next speaker, that is Mr. Jahabar Sadiq. Welcome to the webinar, sir. And he's the co-founder and CEO at Chikings. Being an entrepreneur, he is an expert in strategic business development, partnership alliances, and major sponsorship development. He also tops sales organization and management, and he is building from scratch and expanding existing groups. So this is our introduction of our valuable speakers. To all the greatest minds joining us today, please feel free to type your questions in the Q&A section, and we will be pleased to answer all your questions towards the end of this webinar. And yes, not to forget, there is a great surprise for all the participants and all the attendees. So I would like to request all of you to be present here till the end of the webinar. So please stay tuned. Now I will hand over the dais and the webinar to our valuable speakers to take it forward and share their knowledge with us. Anand sir, you can take this up. The dais is all yours.
Thank you. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. So I would, I would like to start with a personal incident of mine. I'm probably 17, 18 years back. I was doing my CA final. So I took my first attempt. When I was, so there was very little preparation. I was. I was um, I was 0% confident about the results. So I started playing inside, inside the room. I used to have a room, I put my, to safeguard myself from my mom. I blocked the keyhole with a card so that I can play inside the room. So my first attempt went like that. So before even the results came, I know that I'm going to fail. So I was not worried about the result, right? Then I took my second attempt. Again, I was not serious. I was playful. Uh, I studied a little, then I was, I was a bank bencher, so I was, I always read at the last minute. So what happened was, I was dependent on luck. So this time I was thinking I might pass, but then after first or second examination, I know that I'm not going to pass. And then, I took, I didn't again take it seriously, right? Third time, this time I cannot give up. Last time I had single digit marks. I mean, totally I have to take 400 to clear the examination. Because eight chapters, I have to take 40 in each. Aggregate should be 50. So 8 into 50 is, I have to take 400 marks to clear, right? So third time, this time I was very confident. I read when I studied, I I actually uncovered a lot of things. This time, uh, subject was getting into my head. It's not just learning. I just started. Once you read the book again and again, you started loving a lot of the subject. And then, this time I was very confident that I will pass, right? So at least, if I say that, I would feel that, that time I would feel. But I had that doubt of whether I might or not pass. But then, when the results came, I cleared one group, so I can do it in two groups. So I cleared one group. So four subjects I passed, four subjects I failed. So then, I had to rewrite all the four because there's no choice. There's no. I mean, in CA we have to rewrite all the subjects, and there's no arrear category. There's only exemption. Next time I took, this time I was very sure. There was no doubt. I will pass because already I've passed one group. So this time I didn't even worry about the result. First time I also didn't worry about the result. Last time also I didn't worry about the result. But then this time I cleared the examinations. So during this, I mean, not just, before that there was inter. I did my CA for almost 7, 8 years, but it was a repetitive mistakes. I mean, not being serious, taking things lightly. So there's a lot of learning. This is how we all learn in our life, and then and then we get stronger, right? Likewise, at Dominico, we have spent close to 14 years of implementation, close done, probably 70 plus projects across countries. What we thought we should do to for the greater benefit of audiences, what mistakes we have made during each of the project. So that I would say how we have trapped others. So this we are going to expose our mistakes in this webinar, so you can take the best out of it. So explaining our mistakes is much easier. So we have decoded the whole ERP for your understanding, with incidents, with real life incidents of Amanico, right? ERP for business is like a marriage for an individual, right? Like, you can relate both. Once you implement ERP, you will lose, I mean, there is boundaries. Before marriage, you're a bachelor, you keep, you don't have boundaries. Now you're getting into a boundary method. But without marriage, you can never be a matured person. You don't build your family, or you don't go to the next level, because that is how our whole uh, process or customer setup, right? The same way, without ERP, your business is not going to grow, right? You need all your departments connected in one place or connected in one system. So you definitely need an ERP. So it is like, how to avoid a trap. You cannot avoid a marriage. So you cannot avoid a trap or avoid getting into ERP. But what we can do is how to make best use of ERP, and how to have a happy marriage than a compulsory marriage is what we are going to talk here. So so we'll go in detail. So what how we have coined is, what are different types of trap, right? We'll go through that, and all of this is our learnings, and then we have our customer. I mean, we picked him because he selected after doing a detailed analysis. So so he will give us his ideas of how we selected ERP. I mean. So then we also have some giveaways, which we'll share, and then we'll go to question and answer. So how we have classified these traps is, a product. I would say there are different types of. I mean, there are different products. You have global products like SAP, NetSuite, Microsoft. You have domestic products like Tally ERP. You have Focus, Wings. There's so many products, right? Unless and until you select the right product for you, you have to do a re-implementation, right? Like, so you have to assess the product properly. Other you have to get into a second marriage, which is obviously possible, but you would have spent 3, 4 years on the first marriage and then get into the second marriage. It's again a time taking stressful process. So you don't have to do that, right? So how to how to avoid product trap? The next one is vendor. Again, this is again, again another vendor is like, how to pick the right vendor. How to have the right vendor is again. So right product, wrong vendor is also fail. Wrong product, right vendor is also fail. So you have to make sure that you pick the right both of this. Uh, then there is scope bar. It's both correlate, right? So that is why we put it a single trap. We are just defining this into a different bucket, so it is easier for us to explain, or easier for us to share our incidents with you, right? So this is how we are going to see different traps in our in the slides, and then we'll share our real-time experience, right? Product trap. This is whether I mean, this, as I said, I did my CA for 7, 8 years, learning. So this is mistakes we did. We are exposing for our for your benefit, or for our greater benefit. So please don't think that we have not intentionally trapped any of the customers. At that point of time, whatever we thought was right, every time, we take life decisions, eventually we will feel it is wrong, right? So these are incidences how we did it. So we are sharing this for your benefit here. So, if you are evaluating a vendor, so you pick the right vendor, a right product for you, right scope, right budget. And this is why we had this webinar. We wanted to share the real life scenario. So this client of ours is a photography customer. I mean, was a customer. So they are doing functions of high net worth individuals. Marriage, birthday functions. That these are. So what they wanted to actually have is an application of software where they wanted to manage their photographers going out. Their expense claim, their whole processes. They wanted to do into account. Till accounting. From engagement of the customer, from CRM till accounting, right? So this industry is peculiar, or it's I mean, it's not peculiar. It's a different industry. But not any straight fit ERP would work for this industry because of the different processes involved. So what happened here was, so they gave us a requirement, in 2019, where what we thought is, we used standard SAP Business One as a product which we are implementing, and then on top of it, we'll do some customization. So we started the project. The project went on for 1 year, and then 1.5 years, and then we used B1 as a base product, right? And then we tried to change SAP, and then we built a web application on top of it. Eventually, after 1.5 years, 1 year spent, 1.5 years spent, then we felt that as an industry, they wanted camera, I mean, certain industry specific requirements which we were not able to achieve, right? So at that point of time, is when we realized, and then we gave the source code to them so that they can manage their project. I mean, we don't want to trap them, but we gave the source code to them. So what we realized, after that is, first you have to see what fits for your industry. You have to pick that product. If your industry is a let's say that you are a call taxi operator, you are a sugar industry manufacturer, you are a textile industry. You have to pick ERP which is specific in that industry, so that it's so that it fits for your industry. If somebody else has used it, then it's easy, right? Then you cannot let the partner change. A lot of times what happens is, if I come with if you ask something, and I change it for you, right? And it depends on how much stress you give, right? Like, so when you are evaluating the product, so you can do a detailed requirement and ask them, whether this is part of the product or it's a customization, right? So what I would say is, the industry benchmark, don't change the core product. You allow them or ask them how much customization is happening. We cannot misunderstand customization and integration. Let's say that e-waybill, e-invoice, CRM, there are multiple other products which is very good in that particular expertise. For CRM, you might pick Salesforce, Zoho, and then the integration is not customization, right? But then customization is changing the whole product as customization. So you have to make sure that you don't customize more than 20%. You have to evaluate that, right? If it is done that way, then you are stuck with that product forever, right? Like, then otherwise, you will have to change after 2 years. So, I mean, the upgrade is not possible. You are creating a technical debt. If you're creating more customization, you're creating technical debt, because the customization also needs to be supported. As such, the product is always supported by the OEM, the manufacturers, or they own the product. They take care of it. But if a vendor customizes it, they are I would not say, if I am customizing it, I see only from your perspective. I don't see from a global perspective, right? Then every change I do might impact this. So you have to make sure that your customization is restricted. Then, but integration is a different topic, right? Like, so, but integration should be there, for today's success. And also you should know whether it is scalable. This is fit. You have to select the product which is fit, but you don't select a product which is scalable, right? Then, your roadmap or your growth is impacted, right? So I would give another example of our customer. We had a customer called, we still have as a customer, Pungoli Jewelry from Madurai. So, we started implementing this project 2 years before, right? So, pre-COVID, or, during COVID, I'm not sure. So we started implementing for a jewelry industry, right? So it's a jewelry vertical. So it's a completely new vertical for us. We initially was hesitant to take the project because every industry we get in, we need 2 years to understand, reinvest, build a time. But eventually, you don't make that that amount of money in the project, like, because unless and until you can't charge so much in the project. So when we get into new industry, we are a little skeptical. So we took that jewelry industry. What we wanted to do is, we wanted to do as a product, right? Because when we saw the turnover of the customer versus spending, we saw there is a large opportunity, right? Then there are so many small jewelry companies, which can invest in this, which can afford for a software. And there is also requirements from SAP also. So we thought there is an opportunity there. But then, we spent 2 good years building a product. Now the product is working very well with the customer. But when we try to sell with the other persons, we are not successful, right? Like, we participate in exhibition. Now we are switching gears. We are making it as a project, right? Like, we are not treating it as a product, spending time on it, right? So if somebody else, I mean, I, I hope, Pungoli Jewelry is not here. We are thinking about spending more time on it, right? We are restricting ourselves to spend more time on it. So if somebody else also from a jewelry industry is investing for the product, then we have this bandwidth to reinvest and cross sell between this. But then I don't have a roadmap for 5 years. Now we are treating that as a project. So if you have picked us as a jewelry vertical vendor, you will get what you ask for, but you do not get the other cross industry improvements, right? So this is so all these products, you have to make sure that whether for your vertical they have this expert, or what is the existence, what is the scalability of the product. And this is obvious now with the AI. You have to make sure that it is the product is scalable to to support newer technologies like AI, chatbot, and all stuff. Don't I these are things which we usually get into this which we usually face. We wanted to say that, right? So and which now we are, after 12, 13 years, we are not doing this anymore. But then initially we tried, and we stopped now. Investing for a trial. A lot of prospects ask that, whether can we buy 5 licenses, do a small mock run, see if that will work, and then I will invest 20, 30 licenses. I would say, anything of that prototype will never work, because you are not serious, the partner is also not serious, and your employees are not serious. If you're, I think it's very well, you can donate it for a CSR activity, to make sure that, at least, it is happening in a good sense, right? So don't try to do, when you pick the product, when you pick the vendor, we have to do it with a full steam, right? That is what is commitment which is needed. And also don't do a time bound selection, right? Like, a lot of times, when April is coming, a lot of companies come and ask us in January, whether we can go live in April. It's, if you try it, you are trying to do something. It's not the partner, it's not the product, it's also your company which has to be ready, right? So don't try and get into a time restricted project. You have to do it, uh, well begin as half done. Like, you have to do it the right way, so that it's done properly. So you spend enough time on selecting the product, right? On selecting the right product, right?
So before you move forward, right, you have explained us about the product reps and like ERP is the second marriage for all the business owners. So let's launch a poll for the audience, right?
Yeah.
So audience, the poll is live for you. Let's give maximum responses of yours. What do you feel about how many of you are into the second marriage with ERP?
Good. There's a lot of people, at least who's evaluating is here. So a lot of times, what we get is a project which has gone bad. Now we are restricting ourselves not to take it, but then there's so many situations of that we face. Yeah.
We have got a lot of responses. Let's check what do the audience feel about this. We'll run the poll for more few seconds and then we'll launch the result.
Okay, I'm okay. Not everybody can see the result. I was seeing the result, so I was talking. Okay.
No, no. Once the poll is being done, then we'll share the
Okay,
result.
okay, okay. I was thinking everybody can see the results. Oh, okay. I think
So we got a nice response from the audience. Thank you, audience, for being this interactive. Let's launch the poll results. So 57% of the people are not yet indulged into the marriage with ERP. So we hope that this opinion is getting changed after the explanation given by Anand sir. Over to you, sir. Continue, please.
I don't want to change anyone's opinion, I just wanted to share my knowledge here. So it's fine. So I'm seeing this poll result. So all right. So again, vendor, right? Like, picking a right vendor is very important. As I already said, right, right product, wrong vendor, or uh, uh, wrong product, right vendor, the results are same. So this is a manufacturing company out of Coimbatore. That happened in this happened in 2018. This is pre-COVID, right? I still remember customer talking to me. So what we did, this project is a machinery manufacturing company. So what we did as a we did SAP B1 implementation, and we did we also did a mobile application for the sales and service team. They are across pan India. So for their CRM, we had the mobile application. For the service team, we gave the mobile application, right? So what happened was, I mean, a lot of cultural differences. The project went on and on and on. After a point, after COVID, they stopped using the system, and then they called us to do support. Called us to do the implement again. So we said it's not, we're not going to do it. It's a mistake which we did. I mean, not that not doing it, but that at that point of time, I thought we cannot salvage the project, and that is why we decided not to do it. But from your perspective, if you're not, I mean, when with all the honesty, uh, I know I don't want to impact the customer, but then we impacted the customer, and they are stuck with us. They said they will reach out to SAP, but they could have selected another vendor and moved on, which didn't happen, right? But a lot of times you get struck up and you don't move. So so this is something, which you don't want to do. So what we thought is, why, how to come out of this trap, or what we should do not to get into this trap, is what we are listing down in this. So internally, right, like, this is what we have always felt. Vendor based, we also have this line item. So internally, a lot of times what we face is, when we discuss with the customer or a prospect, we have everything, right? Like, customer says, we have data, we have everything. It's a 2 months, it's a 2 month job. I don't know. It's while we negotiate, right? Everything is there. So, but when we start the project, everything, nothing is there, right? Then we have to spend enough time, training, preparing the data, right from the scratch. So you also have to have realistic timelines, so that, the software vendors know that what is the time they have to spend, right? Like, if it's a 4 month project, they have to spend 4 months. And if you're not available in between, we have customers who's focusing on business when ERP is going on, and they're not available, we spend more time. We keep doing this. So we should have realistic timelines. And internally within your organization, there is a study, and then, there is top management, there's middle management. Internally within the organization, ERP should be aligned, right? Like, this is what I want, purchasing team wants. What is the purchase middle management wants? What is the management wants? If that is different, everybody is confused, right? So make sure that you have a right representation of your expectations, aligned. And this is, you have to think of your ERP partner as your ERP vendor as your partner, right? You should understand their strengths and weaknesses, and they should also understand your strengths and weaknesses. A lot of times, if this is exposed during the initial uh, uh, initial study or discovery, it makes it much easier for you to make, use their strengths, and make sure that they help you with your weakness. If you see them as another vendor who is supplying product, this will never work, right? So these are things which we thought, can help you internally. You get aligned. These are things which you have to understand from the vendor, right? Whether you pick whether the vendor is, suitable to your culture. Every new marriage, you go and or during your first 1 year of your marriage, you'll understand, there's so much difference in culture. You get accustomed to it. But during, you don't have to marry before, before you get, you don't have to start your relationship here. You have that advantage, right? So you can talk. When I say culture, it's about flexibility, it's about communication, right? A lot of times, no, some of our process does not take no for an answer. They just want it, right? So communication, how you can effectively communicate, how much the vendor is flexible, how much you can be flexible. If this does not adapt, then if you are not culturally aligned, then the project is also a failure, right? And this is very critical. Like I said, we didn't have expertise in jewelry. If there are few more, then I have to, it's like a doctor saying, you have to kill 1,000 patients to become a good doctor. I have to kill two or three more persons in that industry, or learn from them, to become an industry expert. So we are very good with retail, process manufacturing, casting, I mean, food processing, those industries. But if, our mindset today is, if I have to get into an industry, we need 2 years to learn that industry and get into it. So our focus of selling is only in this vertical. So you pick a vendor who is focused on these verticals, so it's easier for you. But with credible references, we get a lot of reference now. But you have to make sure that the vendor has an industry expertise. When you say industry expertise, it is not about, why we say industry expertise is, when we talk about a food processing client or a casting industry, we know how other peers or other competitors of yours operate, right? So we share that ideas, and then we make sure that, you also grow. And when we do something for you, we also make sure that, everybody is getting aligned and growing along well. So, you pick a vendor who is having industry, and we have become very transparent now. I mean, I would talk about scope, and in scope and budget, we'll talk regarding transparency and team. Then and then you also do a reference visit, right? In the reference visit, you also discuss about questions where, how will your culture align with them. You have to visit a customer, understand how they are processing. Getting a same industry reference visit is always a challenge, because they feel as your competitor. But then, if you get it, then it's good. Then you also make sure that the solution presenter, when you do the demo, they also give you industry experience, or there is it's like Google Map, right? To achieve one thing, there is always four routes, right? One is faster time taking, one is, cheaper route, one is the other route, right? So the solution consultant, a person who is demoing, should say you two or three options, so you realize and pick what is good for you. So you have to make sure that, you have this correct process knowledge is there with the vendor, before you select the vendor, right? Don't This is something, which we wanted to share. This is never works. This is for, you don't you can pick only two. If it's a good and cheap, it can't be fast. We did a project out of Salem. It's a retail tiles industry, right? We started in COVID, and then, we were not able to go live, right? But then we did the project for 2 years, right? Now customer is happy. If you would have asked me to do faster, I would have asked more budget, because, the whole plan was derailed during COVID. We did when we had downtime, and then, but it is a very good project. He is very happy with the output now, right? So if it is fast and good, it won't be cheap. There are projects which we take up. We don't. I mean, we sign up in December. We want live in January. It's a 4 month time. Sorry, live in March. It's a 4 month time. So it's very, it won't be cheap. We have to put very good consultants, couple of consultants there to get the project done. So if it is cheap and fast, you want to get project done in 2 months, 3 months, 2.5 months, faster, and then because we calculate the time and see if the budget is going to be cheap, it won't be good. So you have to while negotiating, you have to be very careful with what you're going to get, because with ERP you never know your end result, right? If you are skeptical, you don't negotiate. So then, this is scope budget. Actually, I would not say this is a trap actually, but then a lot of us think it is a trap because, a lot of times this is misunderstood. When we have to invest more and more, we don't have a choice, right? So, but if you have a right vendor and right product, you will not get into this. But we will explain you more. So what happened with this customer is out of Madurai. They are a food processing manufacturing client. And so what happened was, it's a big project, right? Like, when we entered into the project, it was a 20 lakh project. I was very happy, taking that project. It was that amount of project. It was the first project for us for that size, right? So actually, this was a project which has gone bad. We have taken over, and we wanted to improve that. But the scope was very, the scope was one-liners, but it's a big scope. So we wanted to do all of, we wanted all, customer wanted to do all of it because he has already spent enough time in with that 20 lakhs budget. So we agreed for it. Scope had lines like Canara Bank integration. Canara Bank integration. Nobody has done Canara Bank integration. No, with the Canara Bank integration, the customer was awarded their first bank. They were the first one to do the bank integration for Canara Bank itself. We committed to a scope which we didn't know, and then we had a budget. After 1.5 years of completing the project, I said no, because there were again 7-8 lines which is pending, right? Then we asked for an additional budget, but then customer felt pain at that point of time. He was thinking that we were not fair, but then we were not able to help it there, right? But then either we have to continue investing our resources, or we have to make sure that we ask for a scope creep budget, right? This is how this is how it happened. So actually, scope in ERP is never fixed, right? Like, we had a customer who had 300 lines of individual line requirements, right? But once we started doing it, few of them are very easy to do. Few of them was go into another page, right? One line can get into a 20 line, right? So in ERP, everything is a moving target. Like, there's no scope which you can determine, because this 300 line will transform into a 4,000 line requirement, if you go into detail, right? So we have to make sure that we have a high level objective which is clearly defined, right? So uh, it is like, and then you should also have must haves versus nice to have, right? So these moving target is so a lot of times what is critical to have should be done, right? Like, sometimes we might have missed some critical to have, must to have, that should be done. There's some nice to have where we have to compromise that it need not be done, right? And with ERP, you have a lot of problems. And I would like to narrate a personal life incident of mine. After marriage, what happened was, I had my wife coming out of my bathroom. I mean, we were a joint family. We are a joint family, right? My mom used to, take bath, and then my wife goes and takes bath, right? So, so this what happens was, my wife comes first day, second, third day, 4 days, she was always furious once she comes out of the bathroom. Then she goes and says to me, she says me that my mom is not keeping the soap inside the soap box. She keeps it in another. There is a floor kind of thing. This keeps her. This doesn't make her happy, right? So likewise, we have, or that that these products cannot do. Sometimes you need red color, white color. There's so many unknowns, like we enter into marriage. There's so many unknowns when you get into an ERP, or a ERP vendor relationship. So you have to be so you cannot have it all, right? So you cannot get everything. If you try to get everything, then the vendor gets, try to customize it for you, and then you get into trap. It's not vendor. Vendor at some point of time is going to say that no, 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 this is not going to be easy, and then you will move along, right? It's about how you make sure that your marriage is aligned, and you adjust. Also in this relationship, at a high level, you have to make sure that it is happening, right? But the small things, if you stick to small things, then you are the one who is going to get into trap, right? And that is why now I want to say, be prepared for not possible. A lot of times, again, you have to be, when I said transparency in the previous slide of vendor, the not possible should come during your evaluation phase. It is not whatever you ask is possible, right? You have to be make sure that you cannot do, you are also a business person. There are certain things which is possible, there are certain things which is not possible. So you have to be prepared for not possible. And scope and budget are directly proportional. So what happens here is, a lot of times we Indian projects are fixed bid projects. So we sign up for a project, but then the scope keep increasing, right? Then there is no impact on the budget because of the scope, right? So what happens is, the partner is going to be frustrated, or you are going to be frustrated, because the budget, you are expecting so much before. So you have a clear defined objective, and you make sure that you the clearly defined objective is covered in your budget. So you don't keep spending a higher budget, or you don't don't give a blanket scope, or don't give a blanket budget. Either ways it's not going to work, right? So I mean, this is pushing over boundaries, so you don't have to it's both for scope and budget. Don't push beyond boundaries, right? This is more about, we wanted to tell you about what are the different. This is more of a knowledge where, a lot of times, initially when we signed projects, 5 6 years before, I was very scared, right? Like, 7 5 6 years before, I was very scared. Whenever I go to a customer, there was no. I mean, now we are having sales team and all. That time, I mean, I was doing sales with my consultants. So I was scared, when I talk about only SAP licenses and our implementation, right? I never talk about server, I never talk about additional cost involved, because I was of the opinion that, when I talk about additional 5 6, then this is 10 lakhs, then it becomes 20 lakhs, and then will the customer invest or not? I was not a smart accountant by then. Now after this learning, I realize, when we say it upfront, because if a customer is not going to invest in the future years, it's also going to impact our growth. We are a partner for the customer, right? So now we are very transparent. We just don't talk about licenses. We also talk about all the hidden costs, right, or unknown costs, right? So what we have to understand is, there is always a software cost, right? Like, I mean, uh, uh, there are cheap softwares, there are expensive softwares. The global softwares are always expensive. So you always have a license cost, right? Where you get it one time, right? And there is also a server cost, right? If it's a, you have to spend on the server for infrastructure. The server has a cost. It's for a hardware, and server operating system also has a cost, right? And there is this firewall, because of repeated cyber security attacks, you have to put VPN firewalls, that also has a cost to it, right? So these are your initial capex. We obviously have an implementation cost towards your capex expenses, right? And if your infrastructure, if you're going to a cloud model, your infrastructure cost will become as an operating expense. It will not be a capex, right? Because it's a cloud model, right? Then on the OpEx, you will always have this, ERP vendors will charge you a software maintenance. Not vendors, the product vendors will charge you a software maintenance, which you pay through your software vendors. And there is a support consulting cost. There is a support consulting cost, which is more, I mean, for our time. Let's say that, I mean, to give you a rough number, we charge 20,000 rupees, 30,000 rupees per customer per month, right? Because this is for our time and material, what we are spending on the customer, right? And then this is something, which as a business, we are also interested in. So a lot of times, what we initially used to say is, don't, first year you spend on licenses and implementation. Next year you don't have to spend, don't have to pay maintenance. If you don't pay maintenance, what will happen is, you don't get recent updates, but you can still use the software. This was my previous mindset, right? And then you don't have to spend on any additional enhancement, right? But now what we do is, we keep improving our, like, we have done Kotak, ICICI Bank, different bank integrations. We do different products, collection applications. Whether you need an enhancement, that is how your software is up to date, right? Like, we tried Microsoft AI, for AP invoice processing. So we also make sure that your enhancements or how to keep the software intact is also part of your OpEx, or your running or yearly expenses, right? And then this cloud cost is, which is your running expenses. There is unknowns obviously here. Once I would again put a like soap box. I also have a powder reference. This is again me and my wife. She was. I took her to what is this? Go to mall. It's Express Avenue Mall, right? I am we went to a mall. So she buys this powder for 300 rupees. I was like, I've never seen. I mean, I was. I don't know. So for me, that powder was very expensive, right? I said okay, right? Because I've seen only Pond's powder at our home, and then that is so big, and that is not 300 rupees. I was, this is 300 rupees. I was like, I was scared, right? Like, I had 8 to 10 lakh of debt, right? When I came home, I was concerned. I thought this doesn't go out of my mind for a day, and then next day I started picking on fight, but then I didn't say not to buy, but then I know, because I was thinking, this powder will get over in what, 5 days, or probably 2 3 months, and then they have to keep buying this, and then I thought, there is this these are extra cost for me. But so this is marriage, and then now I got used to it. I keep, I mean, we, and now it is all affordable also. So the likewise, when you get into marriage, you get into unknowns. There is this customer of mine. I would give you another example in terms of business. What happened was, uh, this customer is asking me, he's based out of Kerala. 6 years before, 5 years before, he was asking me whether my team was capable of handling a project, right? Like, whether the current workforce is okay to maintain ERP. My thought process, honest thought process is, we have implemented in 20 different places, right? And all of them were able to use, and so he should be able to use, right? But then after implementation, we really felt that, or after implementation, they were not able to manage the product. Then he had to hire a person, right? I don't know what to do. So these are unknowns where we do not know about your team's capability, right? So I mean, that was my mistake there, where I should not have told it is possible, with the current team. And honestly, also now, I met another customer where we have, where we have to talk about basics of accounting, right? I do not know, or honestly, we do not know how to assess that customer base, who so that is an unknown to a partner, also to you, right? So but we have to have a contingency budget for all this. So employee upskilling is always there, internal hardware. So this is another where you might have to change your printers, or you can, this can be at least avoided if you do a detailed mapping. Tell to your partner vendor, who's evaluating it, whether my current internal hardware is, if sufficient, right? So this is about your unknowns, internal network related. A lot of times we get into this, it's a work group. The cable laying of network is not possible. Now, if you go with cloud, you can avoid all this, because the cloud is on server. I mean, the server is on cloud, so you don't have to worry about the internal networks. I mean, these are unknowns which even partner will not know, or you will not know. You'll have to prepare for it. Like marriage, you have to go in and then handle all this, right? I think we have a poll now, and then we'll have, I don't know
Yes,
if any.
so as you have explained us about all the traps, right? Let's uh, ask audience that in what trap they are relevant with.
It is what is relevant to you, right? Yeah.
Yeah, what is relevant to the audience? In what type of trap did they get in?
This will help us at least to understand.
You attendees are still interacting, so Let's run it for a few more seconds and then we'll show the results.
I'm seeing the result. So it's like,
Yeah. So let's wait for a few seconds more and
yeah.
then we'll launch the results. So I'm ending the poll now since we have received maximum number of polls. So I'm sharing the results. So 63% of people
Yes,
feel
go.
that they are relevant to the
Yeah.
prep of scope and budget.
Okay. So I think it's, yeah, I was thinking it's more of a vendor related, when we say scope and budget, if you pick, if there is transparency ahead, then, we don't get into the scope and budget. You need not see scope and budget as a trap, right? But then it depends on your vendor there, or the transparency between and your expectation setting. Thank you for the poll. Right. So I think yeah. Now Sadiq sir will talk. Yeah, regarding his ERP selection process, or his insights. On how we dealt, or how we selected ERP, or his insights to.
Thanks, Anand. See, I'll just give a small brief about what we do, and then it'll make sense when I tell you about how we selected ERP. See, we run a company called Chai Kings. It's a chai retail store where we sell tea, coffee, snacks, all of that. You can imagine the starting price of the product we sell is about 30 rupees. So, do we really need ERP to manage a company or a startup which sells tea, right? That was the first question we had when we wanted to get into this, when we wanted to start this journey. Um, Meaning that deliberation took a lot of time. We were really thinking if it is required. I'm obviously, and the product like ERP will bring in a lot of benefits, but we had to be sure if that will benefit a company like us, right? A small company. When we started this journey in 2018-19, we were a company that was doing about 7.5, 8 crores a year. But 8 crore a year means uh, for a for a tea of 30 rupees, you can imagine the number of transactions we had, number of outlets we had, number of avenues through which we were getting money from. We would get money from cash, cards, UPIs, Swiggy, Zomato, Uber Eats, Dot Pay, many Paytm, Phone Pays, many avenues, many outlets. There are a lot of transactions involved on the from the customer side and the finance side. So we were really deliberating if we should we require an ERP in the first place itself. But after going through the benefits of ERP as a product, we figured out it might not be of great use when we were a company of 7 crore size. But when you grow, become bigger, 40, 50, 100 crore size, you cannot even imagine the benefit that can bring it to you, bring it to a company like you. And it is very difficult to get into an ERP journey when you are so big. So it was much easy. It is much easier to get into the journey when you are a smaller company like 7, 10 crore company. It's very easy to implement things and then grow from there on, build from that basement and move on. So we decided we'll go through the ERP journey, right? And like the three traps they mentioned, first one was obviously the product thing. Uh, I I come from a technical background, but we don't have any knowledge about how an ERP works or the nitty-gritties of one software versus another software. There are a lot of companies pitching multiple ERPs to us. Two things that stand out was obviously the Oracle, NetSuite, and SAP Business One. It was very difficult to select purely from a product perspective for us. The vendor who is pitching Oracle NetSuite will definitely give you all the complete list of the benefits of the product. And like Anand said, the customization possibilities of NetSuite versus NetSuite or SAP B1's customization capabilities. It was very difficult to choose only based on the product for us. When Anand's Avanico pitched SAP B1, when I was going through the demo and I was going through the benefits of the product, similarly, when I was going through the other demo from the other vendor who was pitching NetSuite, it was very, very difficult to choose purely based on the product alone. Meaning only an Oracle NetSuite or a SAP B1 that alone did not make sense. So from our point of view, we looked at it as a whole package. I looked at the product. I also looked at the vendor who's supporting it. And finally, like you said, the scope and the budget came into the picture. So we understood the benefits of both the products, mainly NetSuite and SAP B1, and then started more on evaluating the vendor who will support us, right? Uh, we were actually thinking it is going to be a shorter journey, like a year or a year and a half for the customization and the implementation to complete. But we started in 2019, and we still have connect with Avanico, and there is still work going on. There are still requirements coming up. So it is a longer journey, right? So even if you have to keep in mind a journey of about 5-6 years with the vendor, I think we had to focus more on the vendor's capability and the right fitment with your company before selecting it. We've actually finally gone ahead with Anand Avanico. So whatever positives I'm going to say is going to definitely reflect on Avanico as a company, but that is how it is. So when we finalized, when we were just before finalizing Avanico or the other company that we were contemplating, there are multiple things came up, right? Like the reference points for Avanico and similarly the other company, capability of Avanico versus the other company that we were talking, and the technical expertise, the team, and all of that. To be frank, if you have to look at these things from an external point of view, all of these look very, very similar. Meaning, look very similar. I cannot say Anand's team was much superior in terms of technical capability, or the other team was lower, right? I mean, all of them exhibited uh, perfect skills that is required. Plus, a team that is coming for marketing or a demo call or a sales call, you always expect them to be of top notch, right? You cannot find fault with them from wherever you are. It is very difficult to find a team that is not doing well at the early pitch stage. So it is very, very difficult to gauge them on the capabilities. But what worked for us was how well the team interacts with us, right? Do they understand our size? Meaning, when we were doing this, when we were measuring actually on an Avanico and the other company, there was another similar player in the industry. Company's name is Chai Point. They are a much bigger company than us. We were doing about 7 crores a year, and they were doing about 60-70 crores a year. So they're almost about 10 times our size. And they were also in the market to finalize a ERP for them. So the vendor that we have, do they really understand our size? Do they really understand the capabilities of our team? Do they understand our business model? Do they understand retail? So we went into those areas and figured out Avanico will do a better job than the other vendor that we were talking. So that was one major area for us in selecting Avanico to move forward. Another major area that, like all of them mentioned on the poll, budget was the major criteria for us as well. Um, so like the slide that Anand put up, which said fast cannot be cheap and cheap cannot be good. It is definitely true. If someone quotes 20 lakhs, and for the same job, if someone quotes 5 lakh, you obviously get scared, right? Uh, the 5 lakh guy, can he do a similar job at least like the 20 lakh guy, it is very, very difficult to understand at that point without even getting into the engagement. So once we finalized, meaning once we almost finalized the vendor to be Avanico, we also had to look at from the budget perspective for a team of our size and the company of our size, how much can we shell out, and do we have the time? Do we have the bandwidth to do a trial and error? No, we cannot sign up a company, try it out for some time, and if it fails, we cannot move on, right? We lose out on money, we lose out on the time as well. So we had to be pretty sure on both these fronts. So once we figured out that Avanico is better for us in terms of connect with the team, how well they understand the business, their retail knowledge, and all of that. A major point of concern shifted towards the scope and the budget. I think uh, what tilted us in Avanico's favor was the uh, the scope and the budget part. To be frank, that is how we kind of selected. Though we liked Anand and Avanico team, our selection was more based on the scope and the budget that they gave. But of late, the last 3-4 years of association with Avanico has proved that meaning we've also not we've also made the right decision on the vendor selection as well. I think so. For us, luckily, we went because of the budget part, but Avanico being Avanico, we got the right partner. But for anybody to come into starting the ERP journey, uh, I would rate the product capability to be the last part, because Oracle or NetSuite or B1, I think it will be right for you. You have to go with the right vendor. How we select the vendor, it's like any other vendor. Meaning we select ERP vendor, we select tea powder vendors, we select sugar vendors as well. So all of that is important. The pricing is important. The way they communicate with us is important. The kind of respect they show to a company like us is important. So we left I would suggest we leave the product part to the last. Look at vendor, give importance to the vendor as a company, and then along with the budget that they propose, and go forward. That is what helped us in selecting the right vendor. And luckily, we thought, meaning anybody who heard us that as a Chai Kings is going with an ERP SAP B1, everybody was saying, why are you doing it when you're so small, right? That was the question we had. But after 4 or 5 years in our size, when things are flowing seamlessly, not only us, everybody appreciates the journey, the last 4 years of journey, and the position that we are in as a company. So that is what we went through. I hope there are no questions. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer them as well. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for being frank. I will. I'm happy that that the audience was able to hear your selection
Yeah.
story.
Right. Thank you.
So before moving forward, I would like to ask a question to Sadiq sir. Like, could you share some insights on how your ERP selection process was with Avanico, and what helped you choose the right product or the vendor?
Okay. Another point that helped us in selecting Avanico was, see, like I said, meaning almost all companies that pitch are at par, right? You cannot question them. And when I said, like I said, when I looked at product Oracle, NetSuite, or SAP B1, it is very difficult to choose between the two. So both were okay for us, meaning apart from the cost of each of these products, but from a product perspective, both were good. When we had we had multiple discussions, multiple meetings, multiple demos with both the vendors that were pitching to us. What helped us also get a better understanding was Anand, meaning Anand being Anand, was part of all the demo calls and all the pitching sessions. With the Anand's background being a CA himself, um, for a long time we were confused what is Anand's background, right? Because he talks SAP as well, he talks financials as well. He is also trying to sell the product to us. So when someone comes from that kind of diverse background who can help us help clear the doubts on your technical aspect as well as on how to use SAP to help your financial aspect and then sell the product as well. I think that also helped us in understanding the product as a whole and finalizing on Avenico. That team, when I had to go and look at the Avenico's team, Anand being one point of contact initially, we were able to get complete picture on all three facets like the product, the technical aspect, the financial aspect, the implementation aspect. So it was helping us all around. So any team, for it need not meaning. Similarly, we don't have to another vendor having a person like Anand who's thorough on all this. But if the team can represent and help us on all three facets like technology, financial, and implementation part, I think that will also help us select the vendor easily, and that's what helped us as well.
Thank you. Thank you for clearing out, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, Anand sir, we have a few questions if you would like to answer it now or at the end of the session.
I think, yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I think we'll quickly run through it. I think we are about time. So, I mean, we'll share this. Start with why you have to pick the right ERP, find suppliers you can trust, organize a detailed demo, and then ask for a rough budget and check partner success rate. These are very critical for your ERP selection. Right. We'll also give you a ERP selection checklist. I think we'll share that in the chat now. Whether, I mean, it's a good thing, when Sadik sir said how to deliberate whether you need ERP now. We have put I mean, actually, we wanted to transfer knowledge of what, so you can assess whether you need an ERP with that Excel file. Based on our knowledge or based on our understanding, we put that. So you can try whether you need an ERP now, because I didn't know that. It was a learning. So charging is only 8 crores when we started ERP implementation. So it was a bold step, at least for a 8 crore company. I didn't know that at that point of time. So whether you really need an ERP is definitely something which you have to evaluate, which we'll give. Know your digital maturity is a link where you can understand where do you stand in your terms of digital maturity, right? So that is something which you can do. Right. I will also share that link and assess whether you are ready. And actually, this our webinar is not to pitch here. We wanted to just share the right knowledge. So you pick your right vendor, or you pick the right ERP. When you do it, right. And we also will give you there is a product called Collect, which I also use to manage our data, manage our outstanding. We have integrated with the business one and Tally. So if you want it, we'll also give it as a free trial for you, right? So I think, yeah, now we'll open for quick Q&A team. Right, so.
Yeah. So the first question is from Sitaraman Rajasagi. He is asking that is this also for a service industry?
Yes, we have done. Yeah, I mean, business one can also be done for a service industry. It's like, I mean, any ERP, right? Any ERP can be done for service industry, not business one. We have done business one implementation for a couple of, not couple, 3 or 4, I mean, exhibition industry, there are a lot of soft. I mean, we are also a service industry. We also use, but we also have additional products. So it is definitely, any ERP can be implemented for service industry also, because service industry will have a different set of requirements, like employee expenses, managing travel, all that. That is also possible. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, sir. So moving to the next question. The question is from Saurin Gandhi. We are a machinery manufacturing company. What sequence of steps you would suggest for implementing ERP?
No, any ERP implementation, we can, we can also share you, any ERP implementation, we do I mean, picking selection of ERP is different. So implementing ERP, you do a blueprint, where you understand the process. What we do is we do a process flow map, process flow diagram. What does your purchasing department do? What does your inventory stores team do? What does your production team do? What is know how to run MRP. So we do different work streams, like how to import, purchase, and all that, right? And then we discuss this blueprint with your team. Then we do a complete, once we align on the high level requirements, we do a mapping in the system. We customize whatever is needed in the system. So that is your phase two, where what you can call as a realization phase. And then there's testing. Then you test the system with these test cases, and then you do the training, and then you go live. So these are the sequence of different steps while implementing ERP, and it is common. It is how any ERP project would be done.
Okay, thank you for answering, sir. The next question is from Sandhya Rai. She is asking, which ERP did you use? Did you use SAP for all these verticals you are mentioning?
Yes, we are. So I mean, I again, SAP, like Sadik said, it is not. I mean, NetSuite, Microsoft, any product will do. SAP, but we are a big business one partner, so we have done business one for all these customers. We have close to 70, 80 customers now. We have done machinery manufacturing with SAP Business One. Yeah.
Next message is from Salim Biravu. iHouse Custom ERP. Salim, can you please elaborate your question so that it is clear to us? We'll move to the next question till that. Any insights on this question is from Venkatesh Katgiri. Any insights on how to motivate people to adopt ERP?
It's a very difficult question.
Yes.
It's again, it's a mindset change. It's about how the management drives it. Like, from a vendor perspective, we can, a lot of times what we can do is we can be flexible, right? But creating a mindset of change and creating an environment where your current present employees is not uh, is not using, that is what we have to it's part of change management, right? But what we have to make sure is ERP is not complex. That is what ERP vendor should do, right? Like, we cannot, for a two-step activity, if we give them 10 button clicks, then it is a challenge, because it's a problem with the ERP, right? But because they are using Excel, they don't want to go into a system. It's a problem with the current company culture. We have to motivate change also. So it's a very difficult question to answer. Depending on, certain projects we do in 6 months, certain projects we do in 2 years, because of the change management. There are customers who is a 50-year-old customer, right? Like, they are in the business for 50 years. For them, for them, the change obviously takes 2 years. So this is something which you have to consider while you're implementing ERP. That is when you also have to make sure that you pick the right vendor there, right? But it's a very, I know I don't know how to motivate people. It's not
I
what.
we had a very difficult time as well. To
Mhm.
put it very simply, people don't like change. For us, it was very difficult to move finance team from using Tally to SAP, because Tally is kind of universal tool in India at least. And SAP, they were scared whether they would lose touch on Tally, and so they were not willing to move. So what the two, three things that we need to make sure is: one, like Anand said, the process has to be very, very simple. You cannot complicate the easy process and ask them to do it. They'll definitely not do it. So the entire thing has to be simple. You have to think through the process, the implementation. All has to be very strong. That it is very simple for the team to use, and also you it has to be very foolproof, right? If you have a broken system, or if you don't have 100% ready system, like if you think it is only 80% ready or 90% ready with flaws and bugs, it is very difficult to make people use it. So make it simple, make it bug free. And though if it is difficult, if the drive is from the management, I think people will definitely start using it. That is what at least we saw in our company.
Thank you.
Thank you for the insight, sir. Anand, sir, next question comes to you is from Sandhya Rai again. Is your specialty with SAP Business One or other software like Zoho?
We have done, our specialty is business one. We have done integrations with a lot of other applications like Zoho, Salesforce, but our specialty is business one.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to the next question from Salim Biravu. It was supposed to be in-house ERP for our insurance broker use. Supposed to be an answer to your question.
Yes. So again, I think it would be better if you pick an industry-specific software, because a service is a very generic thing. So I think definitely there will be applications. If it is not there, then anybody can do, because you are the first one who's going to try it, right? But if somebody else is having a application, in this case, insurance brokers process will be different, right? Like, the charges, so if there is any such application available in the market, you can look, you can buy a ERP and integrate that, like, based on your size and all. But if we have to do it, then what, any ERP will come with core accounting, surveys, expense claim, all that kind of, expenses management and all that kind of matters. But then how to bring an insurance business into this will be a vertical focused ERP would be needed. It will be like us venturing into the photography industry.
I hope this answers your question, Salim. Moving on to the next question from Zaid Khan. Is it possible to build in-house ERP, or we take an open source one and build on top of it?
It is definitely possible, provided you have the technical bandwidth and team. There are open source ERP like Frappe. There's a I forgot. There is a nice ERPs which is open source, right? But then yes, sir. But you have to build this. You have to have a team to manage that, right? Like, and you have to make sure that, retaining technical strength is always a challenge, right? I mean, we face attrition. So if you get into a building an in-house ERP, you have to make sure that you have that strategy to retain people, and you pick the right product and pick the right technology. But it is definitely possible. Open source, open ERP. I forgot the name of the. Is Priyan, you were there? Like, what is the Frappe's? What is Frappe's? There is definitely open source ERPs which is available in the market, which is also good, right? But you have to make sure that you customize it and use it. Hmm.
Okay, this comes to an end to this, and we have one more question from Moses. We are an agri export company. Our company is small, and we would like to use ERP. So, what is the average cost of ERP for a small company with less than 40 people?
No, again, it is based on the users. So, I mean, I know I cannot, I mean, if we do a B1 project, for a 10 user license, probably we do only 20 user licenses now, probably it will cost you 20 to 30 lakhs. I'm not sure, whether it is needed at this point of time. I know, but this will be the budget at a high level, right? We can do, we'll have to get into more thing, more study to understand and give you a right budget. But then again, whether we need ERP, or how matured we are to get into ERP is also needs to be assessed.
Thank you for answering, sir. I would like to ask to the audience if there are any more questions. We are open to questions. We have received a message from Sandeep Hanse. He is telling ERP next. Can you please elaborate your question so that Anand sir could answer you? David Rowley is saying thank you for your time. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
David. Thank you for having you here. Sandeep, can you please elaborate your
Yeah,
question?
I see the question. So I know I need Voodoo ERP training. I can, I mean, we had, we had a ERP Voodoo, we know a Voodoo ERP partner. We can definitely help and try to connect with you. Sandeep Panjay. I'm writing your name, and then I'll have our team reach out to you with the Udo ERP partner who can do training, right? Okay. Me, yeah. Just take your.
I hope the answer is clear to you, Sandeep. Thank you. Are there any more questions from the
ERP
audience?
next, I think Sandeep. Yeah, I mean, somebody was asking for an open source name. I think Sandeep said it's ERP next. It's a yeah. There is a product called ERP next. Actually, it's an open source product which team can implement. Which because it's open source. There is no cost. We can try and implement it.
Yes, the question was from Zaid Khan. Zaid, I hope that your question is addressed well. Zaid Khan is having a message for the speakers. Great and valuable insights from the team. Thank you, Zaid.
Thank you. Thank you.
Are there any more questions from the audience? We'll wait for a couple of minutes and then we'll end the session. I think there are no more questions for us. So let's end the session. Thank you, Mr. Anand Krishnamurthy and Mr. Jahabar Sadiq for the wonderful session. It was truly insightful for all of us. To all the attendees, we have taken your questions, and if you have any more questions, you can drop the questions in the Q&A section. And as we have approached the end of this webinar, I express my sincere gratitude to all the attendees for being a part of this informative session. We hope that you have gained valuable insights and actionable knowledge. Remember that the learning doesn't stop here. Continue to explore, grow, and stay updated on the concepts discussed today to stay ahead in this dynamic world. And to address you further, we'll be sharing the recording of this webinar with you over your registered email addresses. And if you have any questions, please feel free to contact us. We'll forward your query. And thank you for attending and have a great weekend ahead. Thank you very much, Anand sir.
Thank
It
you.
was
Thank you
nice having
for
you. It was nice having you along with us.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.